from the theater at Madison Square Garden. Our main event is native son Zab Judah is ready to take the stage. Well, we saw an upset in the first fight. Prohibitive long shot Carlos Baldomin thinking upset with hopes of Judah perhaps not taking him seriously. Here is the undisputed welterweight champ. Always had the boxing talent, but the one word insiders use again and again to explain his recent success is maturity. After losing in title fights to Kostya Tszyu and Corey Spinks, Judah was on the verge of being dismissed and labeled as an underachiever. But last February, he regained his luster the old-fashioned way, winning a rematch and the welterweight title in Spinks' hometown of St. Louis, no less. Tonight, Judah is fighting on his turf. In that sense, he's come full circle.
Come here, kid. Come tell him again. Come here.
Card of a big fight back in May. He is back as a marquee fighter here. Let's size him up as we go to the tail of the tape. Judah at 28, 6 years younger than Baldomin. The height may be identical, but the champion with the 5-inch reach advantage. At yesterday's weigh-in, Judah a little over at first, came back at 146 3/4. Baldomin, no problem, 146 1/4. Notable rules for this match: no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. If an accidental headbutt causes a fight to end within 4 rounds, it's a no decision. After 4 rounds, they go to the scorecards. If a punch causes a cut and the injured fighter cannot continue, he loses by TKO. So here at the theater at Madison Square Garden, America's Fight Night, set to present the main event. Undisputed welterweight champ Zab Judah versus Carlos Baldomin. Let's get the official introductions from our ring announcer, the classy Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to you and welcome to the theater at Madison Square Garden as it's time for the featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Don King Productions in association with Madison Square Garden and Showtime. This title unification bout is directed under the auspices of the New York State Athletic Commission, the chairman Ron Scott Stevens. The sanctioning bodies include the WBA President Gilberto Mendoza, Supervisor Bolivar Icaza, the WBC President Jose Suleiman, Supervisor Joe Dwyer, and the IBF President Marian Muhammad, Supervisor Hiawatha Knight. Our Chief Medical Officer is Dr. Barry Jordan, physicians at ringside, Dr. Gerard Varlata, and Dr. Rick Weinstein. Timekeeper at the bell, we have Kathy Paolillo. Introducing to you our 3 judges scoring this bout from ringside. From Ponte Ranica, Bergamo, Italy, Do Cavalleri. From Ardsley, New York, Melvina Lathan. And from West Nyack, New York, Julie. Introducing our 3rd man to the ring, the referee in charge of this bout. He'll be giving instructions after the introductions, Arthur Mercanti. All right, fans, here we go with our main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the undisputed welterweight championship of the world. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from New York City, it's showtime! Introducing to you first the challenger on my left, fighting out of the blue corner. Proudly wearing the colors of his national flag, white trunks with blue trim, he hails from Santa Fe, Argentina. He weighed in at a ready 146 1/4 pounds with a record of 41 wins, 9 losses, and 6 draws. He has 12 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the WBC #1 ranked welterweight contender, introducing Carlos Tata Baldomin. And his opponent across the ring, the defending world champion on my right, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black trunks with white trim. Tonight he is making a homecoming appearance as he hails from and represents Brooklyn, New York. He weighed in in at 146 3/4 pounds with a record of 34 wins, 2 losses, and 1 no contest. He has 25 wins coming of knockout. And gentlemen, here is the former world champion at 140 pounds, currently the WBC and IBF and WBA undisputed welterweight champion of the world, introducing Zab Super Judah. Once again, the referee in charge now to give instructions, Arthur Mercanti.
One chief second, gentlemen. Good evening, gentlemen. You both received the rules early in the night by the New York State Athletic Commission. I expect a good, clean fight. Touch gloves, and good luck to the both of you. Oh, Sam, we're going to keep our cool now. We're going to keep our cool. Okay. Come here. Okay. Zab. I don't want that going on in my ring, all right? Let's go. Go back to your corner. Wait for the bell. Wait for the bell.
Arthur Mercanti has to take control early. That was not very sportsmanlike what Zab Judah just did. The crowd eager to see the hometown hero, though, get to work fast. Unheralded Carlos Baldomin, a slow starter who throws wide, which could be very inviting for Judah's uppercut and his money punch, the straight left. And Judah's lightning hand speed will be a huge test for Baldomin. How do you like that, what Judah just did?
Well, I think that and what happened in the tunnel beforehand, I think Zab Judah feels like he can get into Baldomir's head, and that was an effort to do it, I guess.
Judah said he'll give Baldomin his 30 seconds of fame. Understandably annoying Baldomin, but Judah said it's not out of disrespect. He just has to score a knockout at home. Judah told us look for the shotgun jab and the body work tonight, Al.
You know, these early rounds dangerous for Carlos Baldomin, because Judah is going to go after him a little bit in these early rounds. He acknowledges that Baldomin gets a lot better as the fight goes on. So Baldomin has to get through these early rounds.
Well, Baldomin has already done better than Judah's last opponent, Cosme Rivera, who went down 21 seconds into the fight.
So it's a moral victory.
It was a straight left that decked him. And again, seconds later with a right hook.
Holding the head now.
Arthur Mercanti, the son of the illustrious Hall of Fame ref Arthur Mercanti, 7 decades in the business, refed over 140 championship fights, including Ali Frazier at the Garden. Young Arthur Mercanti, a very fine referee in his own right.
There's the hand speed of Zab Judah landing those shots. And Carlos Baldomin has some defensive liabilities. That is the one area in which he has some issues. Just landed a nice right-handed Baldomin. He thinks he can get that punch in, and that is a punch that from time to time people can land against Judah. Certainly Costa Tszyu did, but he's of another ilk.
Baldomin is a tough kid. He's gutsy, versatile. He can fight aggressively or box and counterpunch, but not a big puncher. Only 12 knockouts in his 41 wins, but he's only been knocked out once among his 9 losses.
See Judah trying to shoot the uppercut. He believes that's a punch that is going to land during the course of this fight.
That's it, gentlemen. Step back.
He called it Uppercut City to us the other day.
Yeah, he figured with, as Baldomin scores on a left hand there, he figured that Baldomin is so squared up and punches so wide, the uppercut is going to be a chief weapon.
And we see in that sequence Baldomin coming in squared up, which basically means he's opening his body to Zab Judah.
Nearly a low blow there.
Keep it clean. Let go.
By Judah on the left hand. So the final seconds of round 1, and Baldomin says, "Come on in," and then he goes right after Judah in very aggressive fashion. He's game.
And boy, you could have predicted that would happen at the end of this round.
You tell him when he hears the bell, he stops. And let's keep it clean.
How you feel? You good? All right, yo. You know what I'm saying? Pick him apart, bust him up a little bit. Go to the body, all right? Because, yo, he's strong right now. Touch it, move. Touch it. Your hand side, keep your hand to the side.
Al, here's how things got started.
Well, while the instructions were going on, Zab Judah decided to land his first body shot. I can't remember when I've seen that, if ever. And from this angle, it's even more pronounced. He whacked him on the thigh.
Wait for the bell, Zab. Wait for the bell.
And at the end of the round, after the bell had sounded, Judah landed a couple of good straight left hands, but they kept going after the bell. You would have predicted that would have happened. So early, bad blood.
Big job here for Arthur Mercati. First he had to reprimand Judah, then he had to reprimand Baldomin for continuing after the bell.
We may be next. I don't know. Let's stay in line tonight.
Well, Judah has been successful in doing one thing, that's for sure. Annoying Baldomin.
Yeah.
He's really got this guy upset.
Now, his dad, Yoel Judah, Judah's dad, says he'd be astonished if this fight goes more than 3 rounds. So in his mind, he's looking for his son to get an early knockout in this fight. And they want that because, in truth, Baldomin is one of those fighters that gains momentum as fight keep going. He just keeps grinding away, working and working, and he picks up the pace as he goes on.
Right now, defensively, Judah is just too slick and elusive for Baldomin. Most of those punches by Baldomin are hitting air or the gloves of Judah.
Step back.
Judah obviously stronger now at 147, more bull-like. He used to be more slick and clever.
He has power in that left hand, especially at this weight. There's no question when he hits you with that left, he can hurt many, many welterweights.
A lot more discipline in his attack of late, less lapses of concentration. Doesn't want to be on the ropes. His punches seem to have more purpose. He's not as extemporaneous as he used to be. All over the place.
Zab.
Holding and hitting.
Let me tell you something right now. We're going to knock it off, and you keep the punches up. All right, come here. You okay? You okay? Zab, let's knock it off. Act professional. Give me your hand. Touch him up.
A sly smile from the face of Judah. Rough house tactics here as Arthur Mercati is trying to take control. I'm not sure, Al, that this is necessary for a guy like Zab Judah because Baldomin is not in his place. He's not on his level.
Well, but I think this is part of Zab Judah's ring personality. It really has been for the most part in a lot of his fights. And I think it comes out more when he isn't against a boxer that he feels absolutely confident that he can handle. And, we're seeing it tonight.
We've seen him grow so much in the ring, out of the ring. He's matured, the experience, the presence of mind, but he seems to be falling back a bit here, reverting.
Well, you'd like to see that not be the case. You're absolutely right.
That's it.
And of course, the question I guess you can ask is, will it come back to haunt him if Baldomin hangs in this fight?
There's no question he's become one of the most talented all-around fighters in the sport today.
All right. Now listen to me. You looking for one. You see that? Yo, motherfucker slow as hell. You know what I'm saying? That's why you watch the timing. Look, you keep breaking him up here. Tap, tap, tap. Look. Like down the little half step, your cut, your hook. All right. Look, put this together on him when he stand in front of you. The 1, the 2, the 3, the hook.
Back like a professional. I know you're that.
Give me the 1, 2, 3, the hook, and go around him. Go around. Start losing him. Go around, lose him. All right? And when you get close, underneath, hit the body. In front of him, jab. Put the jab short, long. Short, just keep busting him up. Don't rush him up. Because, yo, he going to come to you. So you have a trap. He's going to come to you. Wow. Let's go.
I think Judah's got to concentrate less on trying to upset and distract Baldomin and go back to his boxing talent. What got him here?
And his dad, of course, with some very specific instructions and an admonishment, as we heard from referee Arthur Mercati Jr. One of the things Yoel Judah said was, when you throw that jab, then step away to the right, and then you can throw some more combinations. What Judah's doing is standing more in front of Baldomin than they would like.
Zab, let's stop holding and hitting now. Both here. I know. Both. Stop holding. It's one.
We will be listening to Arthur Mercanti Jr. through this whole fight with a commentary because he has a lot to say to these fighters.
But Judah has to get down to business here. No more messing around. He's got to take this guy seriously.
Now, he's throwing a lot of punches at Baldomin, and he's landing his share, but Baldomin is showing us a little bit more defensively. Now, a lot of holding from Baldomin, and he will have a point deducted, I think, if he keeps this up within the next couple of rounds. Nice hook by Baldomin. That's his best punch of the fight.
And that was a counter punch after Judah missed the uppercut. Here's another uppercut. That one got him on the chest.
All right, break. Step back.
Baldomin a little on the awkward side, so it could be posing a little difficulty. Baldomin said he was 2-2 against southpaws.
You know, Zab Judah fighting at a very, how should we put this, relaxed pace, if you will. Now, there's no law that says he has to go out there and take Carlos Baldomin out early, but he wants an impressive performance in his home town. His dad has said he's going to take him out early. He's not showing any indication he's trying to do that.
Yeah, it is somewhat puzzling. Nice left hand that's scored by Baldomin to the top of Judah's head, and then he whacks him with another left hand. He got Judah off balance. So it's Baldomin who's being very aggressive.
This is the kind of awkward action that Baldomin gets when he gets into a rhythm.
Step back.
And he's made this a pretty close round.
Baldomin seems very loose. Like there's no pressure on him. It's like, yeah, what have I got to lose? And he stands right in there and trades with Judah. Here comes Judah now. Good shot there. But it didn't seem to faze the Argentinian. Well, in case you missed it, last night on Showbox, the new generation from Cicero, Illinois, the co-feature, Raul Martinez, despite a bad cut, stopped Andres Ledesma in the 8th round to go 13-0 with 10 knockouts. Bantamweight prospect Raul Martinez in control most of the way. And then in the main event, very impressive performance by 20-year-old welterweight prospect Joel Julio. A wicked left hook and a series of follow-up punches did the job against Robert Kamya of Uganda in round 3. The talented, hard-hitting Julio improved to 26-0 with 23 knockouts. Keep an eye on rising star Joel Julio. Well, we're ready for round 4, and Baldomin looking very psyched. It has not quite been the way I think Zab Judah had it designed.
Well, his dad, Yoel, his trainer, manager, said, and I quote, "I'll be shocked if this fight goes past 4 rounds." So, like the inspector at the end of Casablanca, he's shocked.
I love your movie references. Nice long right hand by Baldomin.
Break.
And you know, it's not as if Carlos Baldomin, as you pointed out, is a monstrous puncher, especially against top competition, but he'll keep throwing. He's gutsy and he's aggressive.
He'll look to hustle, outwork you. He'll jump on you, but he doesn't have the power.
Stop holding.
He's holding and hitting there.
Break. Body down. Stop holding now.
I hope Arthur Mercanti Jr. does not overreact to some of the things that have happened earlier in this fight. Now, that was an off balance. That should not be a knockdown.
Okay?
Mercanti says, fight on.
Break!
Zab Judah let's be honest, very economical with his punches.
Keep him up. I got you, babe.
Yeah, he was much more aggressive in that second Spinks fight. Showed the hunger and desire, fought as if there was no tomorrow. Really had his way with Spinks in that memorable 9th round, but so far hasn't really gotten out of the garage yet.
And some of this awkward action is being created as much by Judah as it is Baldomin. And, you know, say what you want, here in round 4, Carlos Baldomin is winning this round. He hasn't been hit with too many counter punches, and he has landed more of the effective blows so far, but we still have a minute left in this round.
Break.
Baldomin just walking into one, but then fired a right hand that was smothered by Judah. Judah's trying to land that left uppercut. Trying in earnest to get that thing to connect. He's thrown it several times, but so far it really hasn't done any damage.
Judah trying to land the straight left there.
Baldomin feeling his oats out.
He's doing a little showboating against Judah.
Turning the tables.
You know, the problem here for Judah is he's just not throwing many punches.
Stop holding now. Both of you, stop holding.
I mean, he's just not throwing anything. So it's going to be hard for him to win a round like this with so few punches thrown.
Come on.
Or it should be.
Well, a lot of people didn't think this was going to go past the 4th. Baldomir's such a long shot. They didn't even have any odds posted. I mean, it's no betting in Las Vegas. But you wouldn't know it by the action.
Let me tell you something. It's fucking gym work. All right? You motherfuckers in the gym, you tear motherfuckers up like him. But yo, what you got to do, you got to start getting this bust. You got to, everything is double up, triple up on him, right? He's getting a little more confidence now.
Baldomin getting a right hand in. Now, that's a pretty good right hand. And he said that punch would land in this fight. And it's a punch that we've seen land from time to time against Zab Judah. And then when he gets him on the ropes, he's working, digging the body and doing exactly what he's supposed to do in this fight. And then here's where he gets pushed down by Judah. And part of it was his own momentum kept him. There was not much of a push from Zab, so I don't think he really contributed that much to it. Clearly not a knockdown.
Well, we'll see if Judah can get his head into this thing. He gives a smile there, but
in that corner.
He got a talking to from his dad. And Baldomin jumps right on Judah here to begin round 5. It's scheduled for 12, the undisputed welterweight title.
Now remember Zab Judah for almost all his career against the better competition, and if this guy's the #1 contender, while he isn't the greatest fighter on the planet, you have to consider him better competition. Judah doesn't score that many knockouts. You know, he knocked out Corey Spinks, but for the most part, he doesn't score many knockouts in the fights, the big fights he wins against DeMarcus Corley, Rafael Pineda in recent years, split decisions, Omar Weiss a decision. So if he's waiting to knock out Carlos Baldomin.
Yeah, the thing about Weiss, Abelkar Brusa, who trains Baldomin, also trained Weiss. So he knows Judah pretty well. Judah 34-2, 1 no contest, 25 knockouts in the black trunks. Baldomin 41-9-6 with 12 knockouts in the white. Press row scoring has Judah ahead across the board.
I have a 39-37 for Judah.
Not many people thought the fight would go this far, including Zab's dad.
Body work there by Baldomin.
Oh, Zab, come on, Zab. That's it, my man.
Crowd starting to get restless. You can hear a little booing.
The left hook to the body by Baldomin.
Good straight left by Judah.
Best one that Judah has thrown in this fight.
He stuck that right in there, right on the chin. And now he's starting to pick it up. And Baldomin says, come on. Come on after me.
For the most part, Baldomin's been harder to hit with that straight left hand than Judah thought. Nice right hand by Baldomin.
Okay, break.
Yeah, he stuck that one right in there.
The other thing Zab Judah's doing well in this fight, though, is he's holding on to Baldomin when he gets on the inside, not allowing him to work to the body or the head.
Left hand, push Baldomin back.
See, Judah doing a good job of holding him on the inside.
All right, accident. Accident. Come on, box.
Heads came together. McCanty said, hey, it's an accident.
There, Carlos Baldomin threw a double left hook. That's the first time he's thrown that in this fight. And remember, in the keys we talked about it, it would be important for him to do that. There he lands a couple of shots.
Good combination there to the head by Judah. Very quick hands. Final seconds of round 5.
Break time.
A better round for Judah.
I got an accidental headbutt. An accident. You're okay. Give him some water. Give him some water. Both came together. Both heads. It was accidental. Oh, accidental. Accidental butt. It was a headbutt.
Judah working to get that left hand in and doing it at a better clip in that round. And the bravado of Carlos Baldomin is showing there. Their heads would come together and create a cut on the bridge of the nose. Well, they're saying it's incidental and accidental. I don't know. It looked kind of like a laser beam with Judah's head headed toward the bridge of the nose. So only Judah knows what's going on in his head on that one, but it kind of was guided toward the head of Carlos Baldomin.
So Arthur McCanty, the third man of the ring, called it accidental. Nevertheless, the blood appeared on the bridge of Baldomir's nose. Nice right hand by Judah.
Yeah, a nice counter right hook by Zab Judah. And he showed us power in that punch against Corey Spinks as well in his fight. And then the straight left.
Break! Judah's punches becoming more precise now. Of course, if a fight is stopped by an accidental headbutt after the end of round 4, they go to the scorecards.
And in this case, very good counter punch by Judah. In this case, because the cuts in the bridge of the nose of Baldomin probably wouldn't stop this fight, but you never know. Baldomin now getting hit with more counter punches as he comes in, so Judah picking up the pace considerably.
Yeah, he's starting to land more. The connect percentage is getting higher.
Right? Watch out.
But took a while to get untracked and unleashed. Baldomin just swinging wildly and telegraphed that right hand. And he's got to be careful. Those punches, those rights, those left, they're so wide. And Judah perhaps could answer back with an uppercut, left uppercut, or a straight left, right down the turnpike.
You know, most people probably thought that instead of Baldomin, it was going to be Miguel Rodriguez, a fighter who Baldomin fought in Chicago in the Eliminator. And it was a big upset for Baldomin, like he always creates. And so he ended up being the one that's here in this fight. And he's having his issues now.
Well, if anything, perhaps a moral victory, whatever that means in sports. It really doesn't mean much, but Baldomin lasting this long with Super Judah. But less than super up to this point.
Yeah, it's been an uneven performance. I think Zab Judah would probably agree to that. But he's clearly winning this fight. Certainly doesn't want to languish on the ropes too much, as he was doing there.
Yeah, I think when he goes back and studies the tape, and, he'll say, why did I do all that stuff at the beginning?
Some nice body work by Baldomin. Judah giving him an opportunity. Probably not enough to win Baldomin this round, though, that's for sure.
And the crowd booing.
And that wasn't how he imagined this.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Okay. Take your time.
Your what?
Vision, take your time.
Say it again?
Vision. Take your time.
He said what?
Something in his eye.
Wipe his eye.
Wipe it.
Wipe his eye.
Put a cold rag. Cold rag.
Wait, the water.
Give me the water.
Take your time. Take your time, man. Take your time.
As Baldomin comes in, increasingly in this fight, Zab Judah's been able to counter him effectively. And he comes in here and gets hit with a very good right hook by Zab Judah. Now, it didn't impact Baldomin dramatically in terms of hurting him. But later in that round, Judah was able to get a left uppercut in, a punch he hasn't landed too much, and a punch he was convinced he could land on a regular basis. So the difference in the last couple rounds is the counter-punching of Zab Judah.
Judah seemed a little distracted, out of sync there in the corner there with his father. A couple of times had to say,
like you
said, what did you say? Zab mumbled something, and it was incoherent to his father, and his father kept questioning him. We never really heard what he said. There's a right hand right on the nose by Baldomin. Straight left, Judah.
Zab Judah certainly winning this fight. There's very little doubt of that. Is it the kind of performance he wanted to give here tonight? It is, and it's not a question, mind you, of knocking out Carlos Baldomin. It's not a question of the fact that Baldomin is still there. It's more a question of how effective has Judah been. Right there, not very.
Right hand, scored by Baldomin, and it's got Judah off balance, bouncing off the ropes. Now it goes into a wrestling match.
He is hurt, Steve. I think Judah might be a little hurt.
He was startled, and I think a little bit unsteady, Al, and now he holds on. Wow. That will prove that.
All right? Let's go.
This crowd is aghast.
I'm going to take a point. Stop holding.
You hear Arthur McCanny admonishing Judah. If he keeps holding, he's going to take a point. Now he's trying to stay away.
Baldomin going to the body, which is also a good idea. Work the body and try and then get to the head.
Zab Judah in some difficulty here.
And if he thinks Baldomin will go away, that's not in Baldomir's nature. So we'll see.
Not in his vocabulary. He's going to keep coming forward. This crowd is somewhat stunned here. And he smacks Zab Judah on the break. Baldomin just continues to chase Judah around.
And let me tell you, the smartest thing Baldomin is doing is still ripping that body. Wow, that right hand was big.
Judah's in trouble.
Oh, boy, is he ever.
Just trying to hang on. His legs are wobbly. Baldomin is trying to finish him off. Unbelievable. He doesn't have his legs under him.
Did Zab Judah prepare for this fight? Oh, my.
Good question. Very good question. You have to wonder. He took this guy too lightly. No matter what happens from this point on. Now he sticks his tongue out at him and he's clowning around. He's reverting to the old Judah, the showboating guy. But he's in terrible trouble, dire straits.
And turning his back to Baldomin.
A right hand again by Baldomin. Oh, what a miserable round for the champion.
I told you, put your hands up. I told you, keep your hands. What I tell you? Put your hands up. All right?
You all right? 1 second. Where are you right now? What round is it?
7, 8. Why we know? 7 up.
Put your right hand to your left ear.
What?
Right hand to your left ear.
Baby, listen, Dad. He's easy. He's looking for one shot. What I keep telling you, man?
Hands up, man.
Keep your hands up. Move, pop, move. Hands out.
Pay attention, man.
Stop jumping your hands.
Well, as dramatic a moment as we might ever expect in a fight. Carlos Baldomin, that was a superb right hand. Very hard to see when it first happened, but that was as good as it gets. Right on the chin of Judah. What did Baldomin tell us before the fight? I'm going to land that right hand and it's going to hurt Zab Judah. Most people didn't believe him. Later on in that round, again, that's a spectacular right hand. It turns Judah around. And so Carlos Baldomin with a monstrous round that some could call a 10-8 round if they wanted to. What does Zab Judah have left?
The doctor had to come in and ask Judah what city he was in. That's how troubled Judah is right now. Well, let's see how he responds after that awful 7th round.
Now, I have Judah ahead by 3 points in this. Oh my, he's in trouble again.
The ropes may have saved him from going down in the 7th round that first time. The crowd trying to exhort Judah, getting behind him, chanting his name, but it's not helping. Look at Baldomin. He is just brimming with confidence.
And he's landing those rights almost at will. And see, very good move by Baldomin to go to the body, because if this is a byproduct of Judah not preparing physically for this fight, that body work will pay dividends, even though it's coming as late as the 8th round. And no punches from Judah to speak of, nothing effective.
Baldomin trying to pull off what could be, even though it's only January, an upset that could hold for the entire year.
For a long time anyway, I'll tell you that. Well, we've started out this year just like we had last year. A great fight in our first fight, and now a potentially major upset in our second. And doesn't that pretty much quantify last year here in Showtime?
This would be a colossal upset. Judah trying to keep his distance.
And in this round, would be very hard to give Judah this round. Baldomir's landed most of the punches, and Judah just on his bicycle.
Judah's been stunned by several of these punches, and Al, as we've talked about, this is not a big puncher, Baldomin. Of his 41 wins, only 12 knockouts. He's not a knockout guy. That's what makes this even more amazing.
These are solid right blood from the nose of Judah. Right hand's getting in almost at will from Baldomin.
Judah with the bloody nose, trying to wipe the blood off with his left glove. Baldomin keeps charging forward like a windmill right now, throwing a lot of punches. Doesn't let up.
Baldomin, on top of everything else, had not a very good record against left-handers. 4-5-1, but look at him now.
Straight right
against a left-hander with the hook and the straight right hand.
Yeah, it pushed Judah back again.
Signs of life from Judah, but those punches didn't land.
What a dramatic night here at the theater at Madison Square Garden. Hometown hero Zab Judah from Brooklyn, New York, in trouble. The undisputed welterweight champion.
Stop, do crap. It's all right. You better now. You better.
I want you to relax. I want you to relax. I want you to relax. Relax. Because you pull him straight back. Relax, Dad. Relax. Relax.
Let's hear what happened at the end of the 7th round. We alluded to it before, Al, but now let's take a closer listen.
Where are you right now?
Now, still got him.
What round is it?
7, 8. Wipe his nose. Wipe his nose.
Put your right hand to your left ear.
What?
Right hand to your left ear.
Listen, Zab, he's easy. He's looking for one shot. What I keep telling you, man? Keep your hands up. Move, pop, pop. Keep the right up.
Well, that's Hollywood stuff. That's dramatic. And he's still yelling to his son, keep your hands up.
Keep your hands up, baby. All right, Zab, we've been there before. Zab.
Boy, that is a sense of major urgency over there in the Judah corner. Unbelievable.
Now, we're headed into the last quarter of this fight, and there's no question Zab Judah won a lot of the early rounds. I have it 77-75 still for Judah, despite the 2 rounds that Baldomin ended up winning. But if Zab Judah fights the rest of this fight just like this, he could very easily lose it. Because he's doing nothing offensively, and Baldomin is landing by far the more impressive shots.
That would be most improbable if Zab Judah loses this fight. Nobody, maybe with the exception of Baldomin, thought that would happen.
He and his people, we mentioned Baldomin and his management team said they have victory parties already planned here in New York and then out in California, where the Sycuan Casino is his promoter. And he said, we have 2 victory parties already planned. Well, guess what? They may get to use them. And the key element here, and I can't emphasize it enough, is Zab Judah just isn't throwing any punches. You can't win rounds if you don't throw punches.
Well, according to Press Row, Zab Judah is in a hell of a dogfight.
I have it 77-75 for Judah. But they're all right in line, and I could easily understand those scores, which are pretty close to mine. Yeah, he's got issues here, does Zab Judah.
Keep him up, Zab.
Started off poorly, and it was a slow build, and my goodness, whoever thought Judah would be in this position. And again, Judah just not throwing. He's silent.
I mean, if you throw this amount of punches during the course of a round, and the other guy is throwing punches, there is almost no way you can pot. Only Willie Pepin once won the round without throwing a punch. Might have gotten it done.
Well, you alluded to it before. You have to question the training leading up to this fight. I mean, there's so much at risk here. Not only at least one of the titles is at risk here, but his credibility his marketability. There's a lot at stake here for Judah.
And major fights against the likes of Mayweather and Hatton.
And millions of dollars.
Yeah, there's a lot at stake here for Zab Judah.
Mayweather, Hatton, Zeus.
That's great body work by Baldomin. That is very effective. And even though Judah's landed a few more punches in this round, he's still behind in this 9th round.
Yeah, what are those guys thinking right now? Mayweather, Hatton, Zeus. They're watching this. Final seconds of round 9. Yes, round 9. And an exchange just before the bell.
It will be very unfortunate if that last exchange gives the round to Judah. Baldomin won that round.
You gotta get gritty. That's what you did. All you did was drop your hands. You drop your hand. Don't drop your hands.
I can count, right?
No, you're not cut. You ain't cut. Don't worry about it.
Count. Not.
What?
No.
You don't drop your hands on that. Oh, man, no. You understand?
Relax.
So,
1 minute.
He coming in, boom. He
Wait,
looking for one shot.
hold it.
Come on, baby.
You gotta keep that right up. Doing good. Keep that right up. Stay right there. 1 minute. We got it. Stay right there. Deep breath. Work that body. Like 50.
At the end of the round, Zab Judah trying to steal it with a flurry. Now, one of those punches landed. Only one. And if this round on judges' scorecards is called for Zab Judah, he will have stolen with a meaningless display.
Well, the only way you can properly steal a round is if it was even up to that point.
And it wasn't. So we'll see. But very effective at least making it look that way.
So you wonder how the ringside judges saw it. Guido Cavalieri from Italy, Melvina Lathan from New York, and Julie Letterman from New York. Round 10 scheduled for 12. Undisputed welterweight title. If Baldomin pulls this out, he only gets the WBC title. He didn't pay the sanctioning fees for the other two organizations, which would have cost him about $10,000. So he said, you know what? I'm just going to be loyal to my organization because he's the #1 contender in the WBC.
They made the point that a win over Zab Judah in one title would be more than sufficient,
yes,
which had in the world of boxing.
And the BA and IBF would become vacant.
Yep. A 34-year-old Carlos Baldomin wants 2 more fights before he retires, he says, after this one. He'd love those last 2 to come as a champion, or at least one of them.
I never thought I'd say this, but it could happen.
Good left hand by Carlos Baldomin.
There's a straight left that pushes Baldomin back. Baldomin shakes his head, says it didn't hurt.
Good right hand by Baldomin. He really can crank up that right when he gets some leverage on it.
Nice right hand as you speak by Baldomin, right on cue. That puts Judah back past the halfway point, round 10. Judah has found himself in a fight. Another right hand that scores by Baldomin. Nice combination, left, right by Judah.
Remember what seems so long ago when we saw a couple uppercuts from Judah and we thought that would be repetitive in this fight, and he said it was going to land all through the fight? That's the first one we've seen in about 7 rounds. I don't know how you could score this round for Zab Judah. Another right hand by Baldomin.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Baldomir's winning the round. Judah missing with the left.
Zab Judah is counterpunching a little bit more, but still, this is the pattern of the last several rounds. Not too much from him.
Judah looks like he's, the tank is low.
He hasn't been hurt badly as he was several rounds ago, but he has been hit with a lot of punches.
And he just got hit again with a couple more. Judah comes alive, but Baldomir holds on.
Time. Tough hombre. One tough hombre.
Joe Guzman, our translator.
Come on, give him some water. Keep your hands up.
Muy bueno, muy bueno, muy bueno.
You're doing good, you're doing good.
Mueve un poquito la cabeza.
Just keep moving your head.
Mueve un poquito la cabeza.
Move your head a little bit.
¿Qué runes?
Vas perdiendo. Si no ganas estos dos, no vas a
¿Qué runes?
11 y 12 quedan. 11 y 12.
Good, but yo, double, give me the face, short, long, try to go bust him up. Okay.
Wait, Zab, you the champs. Do what you know
Don't let him in his fight.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Right here. This is where it works right
You
here.
only want one punch. Let's go.
A lot of frayed nerves in that Zab Judah corner. Boy, you can just see it on their faces. Desperation time. Round 11, the so-called championship rounds.
He is from Santa Fe, Argentina. As we reported, there have been several world champions from that town. Julio Cesar Vasquez, super welterweight champ. We got Quayle, a light heavyweight champ, and of course Carlos Monzon. Could he be the fourth from that city in Argentina?
Step break. Step back.
He'd make the legendary Monzon proud with this night. The late, great Carlos Monzon, former middleweight champ from Santa Fe, Argentina.
In the lobby at our hotel, look at those right hands by Baldomir. A couple of gym rats from here in New York came to me and said they didn't think Zab Judah had trained well for this fight from what they heard. That was what they said to me, and they may be right.
Whoever thought we'd reach the 11th round and that Judah would be in jeopardy of losing.
Hop, let's keep it clean. Break. I got it.
So much on the line, so much at stake here in a fight that he thought he had in his hip pocket before the first bell. But you never assume in boxing, that's for sure. You just never know.
Baldomir keeps throwing. Zab Judah still, and this is a kind word, economical with his punches. Press row scoring.
They've got it unanimous for Judah. Franklin McNeil has the biggest disparity, 3 points.
I have it even.
Okay.
I don't know how you can be giving Judah any of the last 4 rounds, really. Now, that doesn't mean he didn't win enough early to win, to be ahead, but I don't know.
Well, whatever happens from this point on, obviously, Baldomir's stock goes up. Win, lose, or draw.
Judah just throwing so few punches and lands a few here and there. Now, Baldomir slowed his pace, certainly, in this round. There's the right again.
And Judah's stock will take a dip.
Even the hand speed of Judah now, while he threw that quick left uppercut, is not bothering Baldomir as much as it did early. Oh, there's a cut over the right eye of Baldomir. And that came from a clash of heads, I believe. But that's a big issue for Baldomir right now.
Yeah, that one could be getting into the eye. The blood really opened up.
I think it's been another good round for Baldomir, though.
Arthur Mercati says it's all right. Again, if the fight is stopped by an accidental headbutt after the end of the fourth, they go to the scorecards.
Baldomir just working him over to the body and the head.
That doesn't seem to be bothering the Argentinian. He just keeps coming forward, plowing ahead, charging in.
Time.
We're going to the 12th.
Last round, Chicago.
Okay.
Last round.
How do you feel?
Todo muy bien.
I feel good. Come on, get some water on him. Come on, one more, one more.
Bueno, muy bien. Este es el último.
You're doing
round.
good.
Hay que ganarlo.
Come on, you can do it.
Este es el número 12.
This is a 12. Number 12.
Porque si le echa agua, quita lo que
Put some water by his eyes.
Último round. Si le echa mucha agua arriba, quita lo que quita. El último round.
But just keep your hands in front of your face. Hold on,
Ladies and gentlemen, approaching this round of this battle ceremony here to the center of the ring. This is round 12.
Here we go. This time they touch gloves. A lot more respect from Zab Judah now, that's for sure. So off the clash of heads, the cut around the right eye of Carlos Baldomin, who had Zab Judah stunned and in trouble back in round 7. Oh, wow. Here's Baldomin going to work again.
And let me tell you why that's important. As Baldomin comes on, this fight can't end with Baldomin losing because of the cut. So even if they did stop it, they'd have to go to the scorecard.
Right. Oh, nice. Right on the left hand by Judah. Baldomin walked right into that.
That was as good a punch as Judah has thrown in about 5 or 6 rounds.
Right on the far head.
Did you?
And again, never thought Judah would be in danger of losing.
Last round, man. Let's stop holding.
Here's the press row scoring again. They've got Judah ahead. With
Did they give him the last round? That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm truly shocked at that.
Let go,
I have Baldomin ahead by 1 point.
Baldomin, prohibitive long shot going in. And why would you think otherwise? I mean, that made sense. Zab Judah coming off the tremendous victory over Corey Spinks. And then Cosme Rivera, easy win there. 3rd round TKO.
You know, I'm not suggesting that Judah hasn't landed some counter punches. I'm not suggesting Baldomin has fought a flawless fight. It's just that during these last 4 or 5 or 6 rounds, Judah has thrown so few punches. I don't know how you can give him many, if any, of those rounds.
Well, he just didn't really show up tonight.
Done nothing. There's a good jab, counter shots by Zab Judah. Baldomin, though, and the other thing you have to give Baldomin some credit for is all those body punches he's landed.
Oh, he's definitely outworked, out-hustled Zab Judah, the champion.
Come on, punch.
Will he get the victory if this goes to the end of the round? Who knows? But he's definitely out-hustled Judah for the most part tonight.
This is a very damaging blow to Zab Judah in terms of marketability. Good hooks to the body. In terms of marketability, in terms of those big fights may come to him now, but he's probably hurt himself in terms of economic value and in other ways.
Well, he obviously didn't take the guy seriously. He let down. Maybe he didn't train as well as he should have for this fight. Didn't take the guy seriously.
We saw some homecomings last year not go well. Andrew Galata in Chicago, Corey Spinks in St. Louis. Oh, nice shots by Judah. His best shots in the last 4 or 5 rounds.
Quick combination by Zab Judah there. Now he's starting to land.
Ooh, nice right by Baldomin. I think that stunned Judah.
Yeah.
It hurts Zab Judah. He's in some trouble.
He smiles, but it's a smile of embarrassment.
Wow.
Final 10 seconds of the fight. Baldomin raises his arms.
Act like champions.
Should have been punching. He's got a tired, hurt fighter in front of him. He should have punched.
He should have.
Nice fight.
Zab Judah has nothing left.
God bless you.
A bloodied Carlos Baldomin putting himself in position to pull off the humongous upset. But it will take a lot in Zab Judah's hometown to do that with the judges. But a tremendous effort nonetheless by the Argentinian, who stayed away from his wife and 4 children for, 5 months to get in preparation for this fight. He took it very seriously. I'm not sure if he can say the same for Zab Judah.
He's pulled many upsets on the road.
Man,
Is
look,
this another one?
He got the little round. That's all he got.
In Judah's hometown. That would be amazing. Not what Zab Judah had in mind tonight.
I got you.
In round number 12, Baldomin being aggressive as he was for the most part. Some better counter-punching by Zab Judah. You see evidence of that on the ropes. And this was where I believe a pretty good right hand had landed, and it looked like maybe Judah was in a little trouble. He got caught up on the ropes, and that was part of the issue for him. At that juncture, though, that was exactly the spot in the fight where Baldomin did not go after him. Zab Judah getting a mixed at best reaction from his home crowd.
Not what he expected. Coming into Madison Square Garden tonight, he let the fans down no matter how the scores go. And it's very interesting to see how this thing will turn out.
In round 5, it was the first of the clashes of heads that we saw in this fight that opened the cut on the bridge of the nose of Carlos Baldomin. They come together, and it was called accidental, but honestly, you see that head kind of a guided missile by Zab Judah in all truth, but it was accidental. That didn't impact the fight very much because the bridge of the nose cut was not something that would stop the fight, and I don't think it bothered Baldomin. In round 7, we had 2 dramatic round 7s here tonight in our first fight and this one. That right hand hurt Zab Judah badly. Baldomin went after him as best he could, would hurt him again later in the round, could not knock him down, and that's a key point. But was that a 10-8 round on some of the Georges'
Could have been.
Scorecards?
It's taking a very long time for the judges as we continue to look at some of the action.
In round 9, it was Baldomin continuing the attack. From 7 through most of this fight, Baldomin was in control. Look at the body work. Good body work by Baldomin. I think that paid some dividends. Now the head of Judah coming up, and that is what helped create another gash on the eye of Baldomin. And there was a lot of banging of heads, and Baldomin suffered more from it.
Al, I did not agree with the press row judges. I would not be surprised if this man won.
I have Baldomin had 115, winning 115-113.
Oh man, let's get the word from Jimmy Lennon Jr. Here it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing, we have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Guido Cavalieri scores the bout 115-113. Judge at ringside, Julie Letterman scores the bout 114-113. And judge at ringside, Melvina Lathan scores the bout 115-112. All 3 in favor of the winner and new champion, Carlos "Tata" Baldomin.
The worst night in the career of Zab Judah. He never, ever thought this would happen. It is bedlam in the ring as Carlos Baldomin has come from Argentina and training in Los Angeles into New York City. Zab Judah's backyard, and pulled off the colossal upset.
They were supremely confident.
He is the new WBC welterweight champion. Tears of joy. Amilcar Brusa, the venerable trainer. The fans from Argentina celebrate in the crowd, and most of this crowd in stunned disbelief, Al.
And let's be honest, while Carlos Baldomin did what he needed to do for the most part, he got this win because Zab Judah was subpar in his performance. But let's not take anything away from Baldomin. He did exactly what he needed to do. And you know what, Steve? He showed his tenacity, which we talked about, his resilience from some adversity, like those clashes of heads, and he was able to put out the kind of work rate that got him this win. And this 34-year-old jubilant, and for Zab Judah, millions of dollars have just gone out the window.
Oh, marketability, credibility, bank account, it all comes into play here tonight. Let's get it up to Jim Gray, who's in the center of all that craziness, that chaos in the ring. Here's Jim.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Zab, first of all, what is your thoughts here on this decision to Baldomin?
Well, you know what? I just want to thank God that I came out here. All right. I want to thank God for all the prayers that He put in my life right now. And